TCS Logistics is probably one of the biggest businesses in Pakistan. It is a courier company. And just to give you an idea of the scale of the business, it carries something like 120 million shipments in the year, both nationally and internationally. It has 720 units, offices throughout Pakistan, and it employs in excess of 10,000 people. Khalid, welcome to the studio.
Thank you.
TV Apex in London. It's a privilege to have you here, Khalid. But before we go into our nitty-gritty of business strategy, can we talk about Khalid as a person first? A little bit to get a feel from where you come from. I know that you come from a very modest background. I think you were born in Dera Ismail Khan, and your father was a government civil servant, modest job. Tell us a little bit about your younger days. How did you grow up? What did you do?
I grew up in a small town.
Yes.
And I was born a few months after Pakistan came into being. My father was a second-generation police officer.
Okay.
Very much nurtured in the traditions of discipline and honor of service. My grandfather had served with the, with the police service also, and risen to a high rank in the police. And my father, as a second generation, joined in the British time and retired after Pakistan came into being.
Yeah.
I think if I was to think back, that was a time, the early 50s and the 60s were times when I grew up with a lot of hope and a lot of optimism for a new country having come up. After I graduated in mechanical engineering from the Peshawar University, it was just before my 20th birthday, and I had finished and had graduated.
Yeah.
And at that time, my older brother had a job as a general manager of an engineering firm in Karachi.
Okay.
So he and the family suggested I go and stay with him, and Karachi is a good job market, and we look for a job over there.
I really like the way you got your first job, I think, and I think it's worth telling the story to illustrate, that sometimes in life you need to take the initiative and take the first step. You can't wait to stand back, and perhaps you'd like to share the story because I think it's truly fascinating.
I had come to Karachi and I had come to look for a job. I had a mechanical engineering degree in my hand and no experience. And so my brother told me, look here, my office is on the West Wharf, and he used to be living in Muhammad Ali Society. And he says, I go to my office early morning at 8 o'clock. I drive to the office, and you come with me and get yourself a suit and get all your certificates and everything into a folder, and hop in the car with me when I go to work tomorrow.
Okay.
I said, okay. So the first day I drove with him, and we went to his offices on the West Wharf.
Okay.
So he stops the car at the Qamar House, which is near the tower, nearby the tower. And he says, Khalid, if you go on this side is the West Wharf Road.
Yeah.
There are a lot of engineering companies who may need you. And if you go on this side is what then used to be the McLeod Road.
Oh, yes.
I.I. Chandigarh Road.
Yeah.
So he said, I suggest you go just walking this way, look up the signboards outside and try your luck.
Just go in.
Just go in. So I looked at both sides, and he drove the car and went to his office.
He just left you.
And so I said, all right. And I said, this road looks bigger, the I.I. Chandigarh Road, which was the McLeod Road. And I just basically just walked. I would see the signboard outside, or there's some multi-storied building, see the engineering firm somewhere.
Yeah.
And just walk up to the reception. I'm an engineer, then you have a job for me. And the receptionist said, okay, I just gave my CV, and the receptionist went in. And after a while, she says, can you wait? And I waited for 5 minutes, and then somebody came, can you come in?
Oh, right.
And when I went inside, I saw that there was a big drawing board, and
they're having a meeting
some kind of an engineering plans or
Yeah.
something been discussed, and there were 3 or 4 people huddled discussing this.
Okay.
And there was this person who then stood up. He says, "I'm the chief engineer here. You know air conditioning?" I said, "Yes, I did a project in air conditioning."
Wow.
He says, "Okay, then we've got a contract for the American Life Insurance Company
Yes.
head office."
Okay.
Yes.
So you
Yes.
got the job in short.
And they said,
Let's go into the beginning of TCS. And I think by that time one of your brothers was in joint venture with DHL at that time, and I think you joined him, as it were, in DHL. Is that what the next
yes,
move was?
About the same time, he retired from government service.
Okay.
Okay. He came back and he wanted to set up a business of his own. I'm free, you're free.
Come and join.
Why can't we do something
This
together?
was in 1982, I think.
This was 1981, 82.
Good.
Yes. And so that's how it happened.
Having interviewed Khalid Awan, the chairman of TCS Group, which is a world-class Pakistan-based company, I was so curious that I wanted to come here and see for myself in Karachi, in Pakistan, what is actually happening on the ground floor. So, just arriving from the airport, and the TCS office is not very far from the airport. TCS head office here.
जज्बों का सहारा भरोसा है हमारा जज्बों का सहारा भरोसा है हमारा रखेंगे हम तुम्हारी अमानत का भरम शान से हमने उठाई है कसम हुआ जब से है सब
Welcome to Yevo. This is Yusra. How may I help you?
The TCS concept, which is the domestic, DHL was not allowed to deliver letters and parcels internally within Pakistan. That was the job of the post office.
Yes.
And a monopoly.
Yeah. At that time, one of the major impediments that had to be circumvented was that there, like elsewhere in the world, there was a law which is called the Pakistan Post Office Act of 1898.
Right.
And this was in line with the laws that the British had made
Yes.
in many other countries, in India,
it made sense at that
in
time.
the UK and elsewhere. And that was that the postal system set up by the government had a monopoly over the carriage and transmission of letters.
Letters only.
Letters only. That the permission for DHL mentioned that your activities will be restricted only to the transmission of business-related documents only.
That's a very open type of...
so as not to affect the monopoly of the Pakistan Post Office.
Meaning that you couldn't deliver letters, probably.
Meaning that on one side, the government had made a distinction that the business-related documents were not letter, but on the other side, it left the post office to challenge
that concept.
What is a letter?
My goodness.
So, as soon as we commenced business, we got also into a debate with the post office as to what is a letter, what is not a letter.
Well, yes.
And so that is something that continued for a very long period of time.
Okay.
And with the post office. On another side, another restriction they had placed on DHL was that DHL were allowed to handle only international documents.
Yes.
Look at the rationale being that because we use a global network, so the international documents.
So they were outward looking rather than...
And there was a restriction on DHL to do any
internal
domestic transportation. Now, when I started as the MD for DHL, and I was operating a joint venture, we realized that we go to a customer and the customer says, "Okay, fine, we've got 5 documents today. 2 are international, but 3 are for Islamabad or for Lahore for domestic." And we had to say, sorry, sir, but we can't do this.
Only post office
We
can do
cannot,
it.
only the post office can do it. Or there were some other courier companies who were not joint venture and who were not restricted that way by
Yeah.
the government permissions. So we soon realized that we needed a
Separateness,
separate
separate business.
entity to do the domestic part of
Correct,
it.
which is not part of DHL.
Yes, yeah.
Very good.
So that's how then
Okay.
TCS came into being. And TCS is totally was owned by ourselves,
Yeah.
between my brother and myself. And DHL was a joint venture.
So this was the beginning, TCS, the beginning of the national, sort of Pakistan internal delivery system.
Yes.
You know, businesses can make quantum leaps. And I want to just examine that concept of quantum leap. So please tell us what happened in this
Oh,
first
yes,
quantum leap for
yeah,
TCS.
tickling old memories.
Yeah, but good ones, I hope.
Look, we started now. We started operating in 1982.
Yeah.
In '83, we commenced TCS.
Yes.
So we kept a kind of a arm's length relationship between DHL and TCS, but initially, because we were operating from the same premises,
Yeah.
and then we started separating.
Yes, separate business.
The two, so that because this was a joint venture and this was fully owned. Now, over the next couple of years, when the growth took place,
Yes.
in terms of the volumes, and not perhaps in revenue terms,
Yes.
but in volumes, there was more growth in TCS.
Yes.
And so
Because
there
a
was
bigger market.
Yes, there was a bigger market. There was a greater need. Where
Yeah.
the DHL documents were in hundreds, TCS used to be in thousands.
Of course.
And so there was a need.
Yeah.
And although the post office was breathing down our neck and saying, hey, you can't do this, hey, you can't do this.
Yeah.
But we had this little
Okay.
window.
All right.
In 1985, third year of TCS, we got a surprise call one day.
Okay.
And the call was from the Pakistan Banking Council. The Pakistan Banking Council in 1985 was a kind of a coordination body which coordinated the activities of the 5 major nationalized banks of Pakistan. So we went to the head office of the Pakistan Banking Council, which was in the tallest building in Pakistan, the Habib Bank Plaza. On the 22nd floor or 23rd floor was the head office of the Pakistan Banking Council. And all these banks were nationalized banks owned by the government at that time.
It's a real powerhouse, representing thousands.
Yes. So we were, quite sort of awed as to why being called for a meeting on the 23rd floor of the Habib Bank Plaza, and there was a meeting, very high powered. All the banks' representatives were there, and the Secretary General or the General Secretary, I think, of the Pakistan Banking Council. One very portly gentleman, Mr. Agha Fasiuddin.
Let's not go into that.
and he said, look here, we've got a challenge for you.
Yeah.
And the challenge is that the finance minister of Pakistan at that time was Dr. Mahbub al-Haq.
Okay.
He was a very enlightened, future-looking. He has given us a challenge, and that is that the banks had a certain transaction time that he wanted to speed up. And that was that in case there's somebody from, say, Lahore has come and made a transaction with somebody in Karachi and written a check, then these outstation checks were taking about 3 weeks before the money would come.
It's a long time for the money to be stuck into the...
So the finance minister gave them a kind of a performance improvement document they called the charter.
Okay.
And the charter said that you should improve, amongst other things that he had also do. One of the things they had to do was that this time from 3 weeks has to be cut to 72 hours.
Wow, that's a big ask.
And now, when they started figuring it out, of course it meant they had to do some of their internal, rework their own internal processes, but they also then needed some kind of a connectivity between the branches. And the Pakistan Post Office was perhaps not adequately geared for that.
But probably overstretched anyway.
Overstretched at that time. He said, anybody likes to take up this challenge?
Yeah.
And we were about 4 or maybe 5 companies that had been called. All the courier companies that were there had been called for this interview. And so we were sitting dazzled, and I looked at my operations head who had come with me, and I said, it looks exciting.
Very
so, all right. So we the meeting, when they wound up the meeting, he said, but remember one thing, we have no budget for this.
What?
So if you think, when you work out if you want to work out a
Your
business
costing.
plan or something, we have no budget because the finance minister hasn't given us any budget to set up the system. So it will be minimal, and the more that we can give you is 8 rupees that we would give to perhaps to the post office.
8 rupees
8
for
rupees
one delivery?
For one delivery from anywhere to anywhere.
My God. I know 8 rupees at that time is a bit more, but yet, you know.
So they said, how long will it take you to come back? Because he has given us timelines. And
Yeah.
I said, okay, we'll come back to you. Give us a week, we'll come back to you.
1 week.
They said, okay, 1 week, we're coming back. And we did all the work. How can we do it? Can we really do it?
Yeah.
There were a lot of challenges, operational challenges,
I can
organizational challenges. How will we get so many people? We asked, they gave us some information of the
how many
branches.
courier, how many
couriers? I mean,
transport?
the banks were organized as regional, administratively, they were regional setups. So they had regional managers, they had zonal heads. And so if we were to do that, we were to set up counterparts at the regional level, at the zonal levels,
My
who
goodness.
would interact with the banks for aligning our procedures and all the
It's a huge amount
It
of
was a
back
huge
office.
amount, meant suddenly having number of people.
Yeah.
1 week, the next appointed day.
Yeah.
I went with my operations head to there, and they were all there, all the banks, and they were in full quorum. But we were the only courier company who turned up.
Well, obviously they were.
The others didn't even turn up.
Oh, my goodness.
And so I said, okay,
We accept. We have no choice.
I said, we'd like to try it. We can't do the entire country.
Yeah.
But maybe we can do it in steps.
Yeah.
And so that's.
So I mean, if we were to learn a very big lesson from this, I would say a quantum leap. I think that was a turning point for TCS. From an ordinary, business delivering the occasional parcel, you were a very serious player.
जज्बों का सहारा भरोसा है हमारा जज्बों का सहारा भरोसा है हमारा रखेंगे हम तुम्हारी अमानत का भरम शान से हमने उठाई है कसम.
In Pakistan we have a culture where family members take over from generation to generation. Sometimes obviously it can be good, sometimes it may not be. I mean, this is a blessing, but yet it could be a curse. Now this is not a personal point, it's about teaching Pakistan businesses some lesson. So what would your guidance be on balancing family expectations and actually good business decisions?
I think the most important thing to consider here is that it is in everybody's interest, the family and the business, that the business does well.
Agreed.
Okay, so I think when you are talking of a family business, it's the most important, decisions criteria should really be what is good for the business, and keep the family considerations a little bit on the. It's important. For example, the decision has to be made on the interest of the family versus the business interest of the business. I think the interest of businesses take precedence because the family will in any case benefit.
So really you're saying best man for the job?
Best man for the job.
I've had the great privilege of being here at the TCS headquarters in Karachi, and I'm here talking to this young and dynamic chief executive of TCS, Mannan. Thank you for talking to me. Now, Mannan, one of your greatest passions, and I know that, is the way you look at TCS and the way you live your life within TCS. How do you inspire your 10,000 staff to have the same passion that you have for TCS?
I think it's the other way around. And since I joined TCS, I've seen the passion in these people that I am kind of absorbing and becoming more passionate, if anything. And I don't say this lightly. If you look at the 32-year history of TCS, you will hear stories and you will meet people who have gone out of their way. And this is better stuff than movies. How they've delivered, how they have handled crisis, how they've handled elections, how they stood up when floods came in this country, how they reacted when earthquakes came to this country. So if anything, I think the passion to grow, passion to deliver, these 10,000 people have a lot to teach us.
So Mannan, just tell us one story, your favorite story about passion.
Okay.
By one of your employees.
Okay, so here goes.
Yeah.
I have joined TCS and I was sitting in my office, and in Karachi sometimes there's law and order situations and there's a strike.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at the TV and a big news channel is covering Karachi for the day, and the news anchor says, well, here I am from this busy road in Karachi. It's totally empty today, as you can see. No one has come out because there are incidents of fire and firing. And then they show a background in which they were trying to show an empty road. And in this empty road, there is one car standing on the traffic signal, and there is one TCS courier standing right next to him.
What joy that must have been for you.
It was, I have to say, it was mixed feelings. Because one, the joy of the TCS passion, but the fear of that TCS employee's life. You know, at times I believe it's not the right thing to do, that you are risking way beyond what we are asking you to do. So it's a mixed feeling, honestly.
So you do care for your employees as well?
Absolutely, and I think so that's where, you know, where we're going. We're going to have a lot of thought process of bringing this passion and channeling it for the world that is in front of us.
What a nice way to put it. Now, I want to bring a smile to your face. It's already a smile on your face, but I'll bring another smile on your face, and I'll say one word to you. And that word is Yego. Do you want to explain what I just said?
Okay, so this goes back to our chairman's vision, where he wanted to take TCS in the world that is happening in front of us. And he believed that all e-commerce companies in the world are struggling with the last mile. And he believed that in 32 years, if we got something right, it's the last mile.
And what do you mean by the last mile? Just
okay. So the last mile being the end between once you have the product and it's delivered to the end customer. And as you know, that worldwide there has been an issue in that. You know, and TCS has mastered this art to the best of our capability in Pakistan. In a way, the thought process was that what if we can bring the e-commerce engine and connect it to this last mile? And not only in Pakistan, I honestly believe that this is a trend which will take place worldwide as well. And already, you know, the big ones in e-commerce are looking to either buy the last mile or manage it better.
So I'm going to bring another smile to your face, because that's my job. And I'll use the word Hazir to you.
Yeah.
How does that, do you like the word Hazir?
I love the word Hazir, and I love the word Hazir because of what it encapsulates once again. Hazir to us is a promise that 32 years of TCS has already delivered, and where we want to go. If you kind of dissect this word, what you see is there are two main thought processes going on. One is the humility that we are Hazir, we are here at your service. And the other one is that we're everywhere, Hazir everywhere. And if you now translate this into the business philosophy behind Hazir, it's exactly the same. So it's simple.
Just tell us about it.
Okay, so we have been delivering products and services 32 years. And we have the largest network of retail stores, you know, our express centers, 780 of them and growing. Yet, we looked at the customer and we realized that the customer at times does not even want to come to the express center. So not only we will go to him, But we felt that this service should be restricted within 60 minutes so that it's convenient for him. So Hazir on one end is the name of that if you want TCS to do something for you, we can do this in 60 minutes for you.
So any product or
Yeah.
can come to you within 60 minutes?
So let's start, there are 3 ends to it.
Okay.
Two of them are already in the market.
Okay.
And one is being tested. So let's start with the first one. You are sitting here interviewing me and you are here in this office for 60 minutes and you wanted to send something back home,
Yeah.
you can call Hazir and he'll be in here 60 minutes, take the shipment from you and it's gone. Right, that's the first part. The second part of Hazir is now you want it delivered in a 60-minute time slot.
Yeah.
So let's say you want to send this to someone who you know will be home after 7 p.m. So there's no point in the courier company going there at 11 o'clock and returning. So you can say, deliver this between 7 and 8 p.m. and Hazir will do that for you.
This is such an important part, particularly in the West where people go to work. I'm sure here is where people go to work and may not be able to wait for a delivery half a day or a whole day. I think it's such an important service. Now, you took up position as chief executive, I think about a year ago. What's been your very general observation during this period?
Well, for me, it's been a learning experience, and every day there's something new we are learning. I think there are 2 things that make this very interesting for me in my personal life. One is the learning experience, and the other part is the platform that is already there and where this is going, which is very, very exciting. So what we do already, there's a lot of meat in there.
Yeah.
Where we are going has even much more meat in there. So it's an exciting journey.
From a business learning perspective, the experience of moving from a lifetime, although a young lifetime of banking, into a completely different ball game. Some would say, it's not so easy. But do you think there are advantages in that happening? Changing sort of horses, or courses more than horses, really?
I think it's too early to say whether what happens next. I mean, because I've been here a year, but I can definitely tell you that for somebody like me, it has reinvigorated myself in me as well. And the reason is that there's a lot of learning, and I am trying to bring something to the table which probably my teammates here did not have, and my teammates are bringing to the table which
So you're giving it a new perspective, really. In a way, coming in from a different industry is an advantage.
I would say I'm not giving it a new perspective. I think the combined collective wisdom of this team is creating something new, which definitely excites me.
And where do you think having sort of settled in now, where do you think this TCS logistics group, now it's multi-service, it's not just a courier business, where do you want it in, say, 3 to 5 years' time?
I want it to be with the customer in a way where customers turns around, and this is one of our values, and says, TCS has made my life simple, easy and convenient. That's where I want to be.
जज्बों का सहारा भरोसा है हमारा जज्बों का सहारा भरोसा है हमारा रखेंगे हम तुम्हारी अमानत का भरम शान से हमने उठाई है कसम.
Your very charming wife, Saadia, has been in your business life, of course in your personal life. She is in the scene, if you like, and behind the scenes. Or in other words, in or outside the kitchen, if you like. Tell me, who is the real boss?
Well, the best way of describing her, she is my best friend.
I think you
and I think yes, without her support, we wouldn't have been able to achieve, anything. Of course, I like to acknowledge that there's a lot of people that one needs to acknowledge, and the teams, the people who have worked with me. But of course, the closest is your wife, and she's been She's been a great support. At times when you make even unpopular decisions, sometimes you have to make hard choices and unpopular decisions. To even take risks sometimes.
Yeah, I think you're right. Without the support of your spouse and your guidance and your counsel and your discussion, I think you would not have achieved possibly as much as you have.
I've been very fortunate.
Yes, I know. I know Saadia.
Yeah,
she is a wise and charming person. You two work together in the office? Yes.
Yes.
Then I think the work carries on in the evening when you come home. Is that right?
It does. It does. But it's all done in a very harmonious way, so it doesn't impact, in any way upon our lives in a negative way.
No. But I mean, what I meant to say is that do you have people around? You have meetings? You then entertain clients? Is that the way it goes?
We do all of that.
Yes.
Especially, I think Khalid has a lot of meetings at home.
Yes.
So that happens quite a bit.
So it's a sort of 24/7 existence of TCS.
Yeah. It's our fourth child.
And it's a beautiful child. And Khalid, do you treat Saadia differently when you get home? I mean, you're very romantic at the office, I know, but are you equally romantic at home?
Well, home is where I feel I live in her home. This is her
Are you a guest?
And I like best to sort of just feel that way,
But Saadia, I know one thing, that you are so passionate about customer service. I have seen how you light up when a customer is happy and depressed when a customer is. Tell me what you feel really, and how do you think about this application in the business?
For us, this company is not just a business. It's very service oriented, and the service obviously revolves around the customer. So even one unhappy customer makes us really take stock of us and of our systems and all that. I remember once many years ago when we were quite small in the business. There was a meeting going on in the boardroom, and Khalid was conducting that meeting, and we just heard that there was a misdelivery of a very old woman and how distressed she had been and what it cost her and all that. And I remember looking at him that he completely switched off from the meeting, and I could see his and he just stopped everybody. He got up, he said, I have to go and meet that woman, So just that, it was a very important meeting that had been called just for that day, and he just didn't want to carry on with the business of the day. He wanted to go and visit her, see how we could rectify her, situation, and so I know all this comes from him, which is filtered down into the company.
And Khalid, do you feel that equal? Do you feel as strongly as Saadia does?
Yes, because I think the ultimate proof of the pudding, as you know, is basically in how our customers feel about us. That's very important.
And of course, not just how they feel, but how you respond. And
how we respond.
How your 10,000
absolutely,
people.
Absolutely. That is the greatest satisfaction. Really comes.
So that's why your corporate logo is to deliver beyond customer
absolutely.
expectation.
That is our best motivation.
Yes. Now, Saadia, it's been an amazing journey for both of you, actually, both at home and in the office. Can you recall one moment of being up and one moment of being down in this journey? And I mean in relation to TCS.
To the company, actually I think it's been a mixture of ups and downs.
Yes, so
because I think our fortunes have gone up and down with the country.
Yes.
A lot of the times, because there were times that Khalid was ready to just call it a day, because the country was not doing well at all. That's the only time, but generally it's been we know it's a business we've grown organically, so we knew that there was no big highs, but it's been sort of a labor of love over years, and we are so glad we stuck it out, and we are with our business.
And Khalid, I know you've gone through many downs, and usually you're up, because that's the type of mood you are usually. But can you recall any moments you want to talk about?
Yes, on both sides, you know,
Yeah.
there have been moments, and they have been for the company, for the business. There have been some, what I would like, you can even say, near-death experiences. You know, when everything that you've built, everything that you know, a lot of efforts and years and decades of hard work and building this government sometimes can go just like this. There have been such moments where naturally you worry about it. But then generally it has been, on the whole, a very, on the other side, it's been an exhilarating experience, just to the satisfaction of seeing not only just your company grow, but most importantly, you see your people grow, and they develop, and they're growing not only in the responsibilities they are shouldering, but also in their personal lives and to their personal development, contribution towards the company and to the society as a whole. And so there have been such moments, yes.
And can you recall the most joyous moment you've had, other than personal moments?
Well, the most there have been a few moments that joyous moments. I think what gives me the greatest joy is when I see someone who I remember I interviewed for a courier's job, and I see him now as a director in the level of a company, and I went to his station. He was managing his entire region, and he now had about 3,000 people working under him, and him talking to his people, conducting himself, having come into his own. And when I look at the day I first interviewed him and to the leader that he has himself grown, it gives a tremendous satisfaction. Very good feeling.
Because you changed the lives of many people.
Absolutely. That's been the most rewarding.
Saadia, I asked Khalid the question at an earlier interview, but when I look at him, he looks so calm. Yes. Is that true, or is it just a make-up job?
He has he is very serene. He is very comfortable in his skin.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, that's the way he is always.
Yes.
He is, lots of, things that happen don't really sort of unnerve him. He has a very philosophical view of life. He has a lot of psychological understanding of people. There are times when I say to him, look, this person has done, something that, which is not really what one would expect. And he says, well, that's the way human nature is. You should accept it and understand it. So, he will never castigate anybody for doing anything wrong or unexpected. He says, well, that's part of human nature, so we should expect it at all times. So his
like
reaction is always very, comfortable with, even the negatives around him.
It's like what Buddha said, of course. He said, to understand everything is to forgive everything. And he is as serene
He
as...
does that, yeah.
And I know that you're both on the board of directors. I know that you're no pushover, Saadia. So when you have a difference of opinion in the boardroom, how do you resolve that?
He listens to me, but very rarely, because even he will not argue back, but he will, after a little while, he'll say, this is the reason why this is happening, and why I'm taking this route. So, and then I'm mostly given.
But I know
that looks the opposite.
Yes, it does.
But it's not.
It's not.
Yeah.
So, okay, so it's a sleight of hand.
Yeah.
Basically. But you very much, you make a good team because you very much focus on the sort of small detail, and Khalid is just a man of vision.
Yes.
And sometimes fantasies.
Yeah.
I'm told.
Yeah.
And so that's also something.
He's a true entrepreneur.
Yeah. So that too needs to be, he needs to be pulled back a bit sometimes.
Yeah. And vice versa.
Yes.
Sometimes he tells me, don't get into little things, and look at the bigger picture, and so I just relax then.
But you have confidence in your chairman.
A lot.
Yes, good.
Yeah.
And you have confidence in your Home Minister.
Absolutely. I think the deal is that, look, we have to convince each other. You know,
Yes.
it's very good to have a genuine difference of opinion, because either you end up convincing or you get convinced. You've got to be open-minded in this, and ultimately it results in a more qualitative decision. And it's not a matter of ego. It's not a matter of what is something that you want to do, what is best for the business. Because if the business wins, we all win.
Very. Now, look, it's been so kind of you to welcome me to your home. Khalid, what I would like for you to do, if you don't mind, is to give a message, your own message, to the staff and customers of TCS, and look into the camera, I think this camera, and get that message straight, if you wouldn't mind.
Well, I think that my greatest desire and my greatest hope is that TCS lives up to delivering on the hopes and expectations of our customers, not only today but long into the future. And for this, what we want to do is to be able to create a culture and an environment within the organization where customer satisfaction is the topmost priority. Because if our customer wins, we all win. If our customer is happy, the rest of the things will just happen by themselves. And that's the culture, and that's the message that I have. That's the hope I have, and that's the message. And that's what I would like that the future generations, and TCS today is 32 years of age, the next 3 decades or 4 decades will be far more exciting from where we have come so far. And we should never forget the basic principle that we live for our customers.
Thank you very much, Khalid. It's lovely talking to you both.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Feroze.
Saadia, very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
हुई खुशियाँ सारी हम कदम हुआ जब से है संग ये लाल रंग 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 ये लाल।
Now, really almost last question here. You know, Khalid, I look at you, and you have this very gentle smile on your face. But I have seen so much adversity that the business has to go through, but yet you have that calmness about you. What is this that makes you able to do it? Most people would be, dare I say, tearing their hair out.
I think the realization that, you know, our destiny is shaped by God and His greater wisdom, you know, and whatever He feels best for us. And I think we have far, far more to be grateful to God than to crib for any of our, you know, we may encounter small little things on the way. And the bigger scheme of things, when God is kind, it also brings an obligation on your part to respond to the responsibility that comes. You know.
So do you think you fulfilled your destiny? And if you think it's a question of destiny, or you're on the way there,
I haven't ever thought of it that way. Every day brings its own. Brings its own, and
well, Khalid, it's been a great pleasure having you. I hope viewers that you have had a masterclass from Khalid as to how you can run a world-class company from Pakistan. As interviewer, I probably have the last word on this, so I close by saying that, you know, there is no elevator to success. You have to take the stairs. Thank you, viewers, for being here with us today, and thank you, Khalid Awan.